Hello everybody, welcome to Midwest Imagery. Today I'm going to show you another trick for polishing your pictures in Photoshop. The sky was looking pretty good and dramatic, so I metered for the sky and underexposed it by about 2 stops. And that would cause our subject to be in a silhouette, purely basically just black. So then I added a little bit of external light with a small speed light in an umbrella. And I think it was an umbrella. Might have been a softbox. We'll see when we get into the shot. But anyway, what we're dealing with here then are ambient light exposure and a flash exposure. So again, as I said, I underexposed the sky so that I can get all of that nice detail and drama in the sky, and then just give a little suggestion of fill light on the subject, just to brighten her up a bit and make that background still be really powerful. So now I maybe could have used a little bit more flash on her out of the camera, but it's coming out of the camera okay, and for me this is like a good starting point. So I'm going to get my screen set up and show you just what I'm talking about and how I go about adding a little bit of pop to a picture like this, very quickly and very easily. So give me a second and I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. Here we can see the image that I'm going to work on today. As I said, it was a shot made with flash, and this is pretty much how it came out of the camera. And what we have here, what we're seeing is I'm underexposing this sky so I can really pull out this detail and the drama in here. It brings everything else in the foreground into a silhouette. And if I hadn't lit this subject with a tiny little bit of light, then she would be a complete blacked out silhouette also. But I'm going to fix a little bit, going to open her up just a little bit. So let's see what we can do. I'm just going right to the thumbnail, and I'm double clicking on the thumbnail, and that opens us up into Adobe Camera Raw, which is a part of Photoshop. Now, I'm not going to do anything to it right here because I'm going to come back in just a moment. I'm just going to open this up. And here we see our subject. Now I'm going to duplicate this background layer using the keyboard shortcut Command J. And I'm going to rename this, double clicking on the words Layer 1 to ACR, which just means Adobe Camera Raw. Now I'm going to take this back into Photoshop using a filter under my filter menu, and it's going to be the Camera Raw filter. And this takes me right back into Camera Raw. Here is where I'm going to see what Photoshop thinks it'll look like by just clicking on this auto button. I like to let Photoshop do the majority of the heavy lifting here, and usually it's pretty close. Now this is not too bad. This will give us a good starting point. We can see that it opened up everything. The sky's a little bit brighter, opened up everything. But we'll call that okay. And I'm going to say okay and open it right back up in here. Now here's our before and our after. So what I'm going to do to this layer too, because now she's a little bright, her clothes are a little bright, the sky got a little bright. I don't like seeing these seed heads right here in the foreground either. So what I'm going to do is put a layer mask on here. And I go down to our icons at the bottom of our layer panel and select the add a layer mask. It's the rectangle with a black circle in the middle of it. And I've put a layer mask right on here. So this is a white layer mask, so it's not hiding anything yet. And we're going to paint, we're going to hide stuff behind a black brush. When we're painting on a white layer mask, we need to have our foreground color set to black, which it is here. I have my brush tool already selected, you can see right here. And so here's my brush tool right now. I'm going to make it fairly large by using the right bracket key. And then I'm going to paint this out. Everything here, I'm going to do the sky as well. I want that sky to be nice and dramatic. I'm just going to quickly paint this sky in. I'm not really too concerned about getting any little bit of overage on her because I'm going to fix her a little bit too. And let me see if I missed any place, and I do that by holding the Option key and clicking on the layer mask right here, and I can see that I did miss a few places. So I'm going to just brush those in right here, and then hold the Option key and click again, and here we are back like that. Now this looks better. Here's our before, and here's our after. I think I'm going to also paint a little bit of this out here. I don't want to see a lot of this here. It shouldn't be this bright right there. So I'm going to give it a little bit of this hair off of the light. There, like that. That looks pretty good. I might try one more thing. I'm going to lower the opacity of my brush to about 50% and paint on her jacket. Yeah, that's going to do it. Just darken it up just a touch. In a few spots like that. That looks pretty good. Before, after. Alright, now the thing that stands out to me is we have to fix her eyes a little bit. I always like to see the eyes really sparkling in my pictures. So I'm going to merge these two layers into one using the keyboard shortcut Shift Option Command E on a Mac. And now we have a single layer that I'm going to rename to Eyes. And I'm going to change the blend mode from normal to screen. And that lit her up good. All we're concerned about here are her eyes. And her eyes look pretty good. I'm going to call that okay. But what I'm going to do here now is hide everything that I just did behind a black layer mask. And I go back down to my layer, add a layer icon, which is the rectangle with a dark circle in the center of it. And I hold my Option key. And that puts a black layer mask on here, which hides everything. And so when we're painting on a black layer mask, we have to make our foreground color white. And we can either do that by clicking on this curved arrow here or using the letter X on our keyboard. I'm still going to be painting with a brush, and so you make the brush larger or smaller using the bracket keys, the left bracket keys. I'm going to zoom in first, Command plus, so I can see her eyes. Then I'm going to make my brush using my left bracket key a little bit smaller than her eye, kind of like that, and I'm just going to paint her eye. After I turn the opacity of my brush back up to 100%. Now we'll see some changes. Yeah, and I could see on the catch lights in her eyes that I was using an umbrella here. So now that that mystery is solved, we can move right on. I make my brush small enough to fit on her pupil, change my foreground color to black, and just click a couple, 3 times to put that black back in there. And I move over to her other eye, changing my foreground color back to white, and then I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to paint her eyes, irises, and her pupil, and leave everything else alone. I'm going to make her pupil darker by selecting my black color using the letter X, and then I'm going to click a couple, 3 times here. And there we have it. We'll turn this off and we'll turn this back on. Let's go back, zoom out, Command minus, and here we go. So these few little tricks changed us from here, which is okay. If I pop a little bit more light on her, it would have probably been good too. But I know that I can do these sorts of things in post, so that's kind of where I was going with this one. And then if we look back at here, we see this. Now one more thing we could do, and we could make another merged layer, Shift Command Option E, and we'll call this Sharpen. So I'm going to sharpen her eyes, going over to my filter menu and down to Other, and I'm going to use High Pass, and I am going to just give this a huge radius, like 23, just sharpen the bejeebers out of it and give it way too much sharpening. Click OK. Perfect. We have to change the blend mode to either overlay or soft light. I like what overlay is doing to her eyes, so that's what's we're going to set it to. But look at this. I'm going to zoom in, and we sharpened the bejeebers out of her. Look at, she looked gnarly now. Look at all that sharpening we did to her. But we don't care about anything except for her eyes, so here comes another layer mask. This one will be a black layer mask also. And here's a trick. Since I already have her eyes painted on this layer mask, I'm just going to hold my Option key and drag this layer mask up to the sharpen layer, and there we go. Her eyes are already sharpened. This just duplicates the layer mask from below, and if I show you that one and that one, they're identical. And that's just a kind of a quick trick here. Now let's take a peek at this from a distance and see that we probably want to turn the effect down on the sharpen. We can see this and we can see this. So all we have to do is go up to our opacity slider and lower this to about, let's try 50%. Somewhere in that neighborhood. Okay, then we'll zoom out so we can see the whole shot. Maybe turn it down a touch more. Let's see what it looks like without it. I'm going to turn it down even a bit more. We'll go back into the eyes and turn them down there. That works for us a little bit better. There. Before, after. Before, after. I see a little bit here that I want to paint. Out of the way too. There we go. There we go. Okay. And there you have it. Before, right out of the camera. After, with a little bit of help. Let me get my screen shut off and I'll be right back. Okay. There's another method for fixing your image in post-processing, giving it a little bit of polish. As we can see, this was a flash shot, so I underexposed the ambient light by a couple of stops so I can keep the sky looking nice and dramatic and saturated, and then just give a little bit of a kiss of light onto the subject, and then fix it a little bit in post-processing. And you could do the same thing as well. The idea is, as I've said before, we want to get our images as close as we can in the camera, and then it really reduces the time that we have to do in post-processing. And I think that's going to wrap it up for today. If you have any questions, let me know. I want to thank you for watching. I look forward to seeing you soon.